Hello lovelies, my name's Feta and welcome to Fable Academy, where adventurers old and new learn from the best, but usually the worst. And yeah, while I do lean into that stitch and bitch vibe a little at times, at my core I am an academic and I am here to learn, to grow and share my newfound knowledge with others through this channel. RPG horror stories are fun, but in every cringe and every yikes lies a kernel of wisdom that we can all take to heart and try not to replicate at our next table. And with the right time and the right commitment to personal growth, these truths could make us better players, better GMs, maybe even better people. But sometimes a horror story is nothing more than just that. Horror. Pure, unmitigated social phobia-inducing cringe and secondhand shame that gives us all a little hit of that sweet, sweet schadenfreude. Because it's definitely better than being at the table as it happens, watching the chaos spill into the table in real time, as you watch people you know and maybe even love go at each other's throats. It's a lot easier to think about this happening in the past, happening to someone you don't know, maybe not even happening at all. It is, after all, something on the internet, probably not actually true, it must be exaggerated or even maybe made up for clicks and engagement, right? Today's story comes with a big asterisk on the top because the account that posted it is becoming known for posting a lot of their own horror stories in which they were the problem, or at least part of it, in a relatively short period of time. But after giving it all a good look myself, I can't find anything to suggest this story didn't happen and doesn't line up with the author's history or other activity in other subreddits. But if it is real and this really did happen, I know that I'm really, really glad I wasn't there to see it. Today's story is by World Gone Away. Don't bring it to the table! TLDR, my ex-wife and I had a fight before a session started, and we did a bunch of stuff during the session to continue fighting. In the year before finally getting divorced, my wife and I got to a point where we were fighting about almost every stupid thing near constantly. I was running a game that was basically an ad hoc combination of D&D 3.5 and Pathfinder 1st Edition with a few house rules. I ran it Monday and Tuesday nights in person at my house, and I had 6 players, including my wife. 3 years into this game and she still didn't know her sheet, didn't really understand any of the rules, but she had an over-the-top, unforgettable loony character and she roleplayed her extremely well. One day, her and I had a huge fight about money. At the time, I was working for a garbage collection company, she wasn't working at all, and she couldn't understand why I was making $30,000 a year, and we were still struggling. I tried explaining to her that $30K a year is not very much, and it was just getting our bills paid. She straight up accused me of having some kind of expensive drug problem, or financing a secret family. We fight about this for most of the day. We put our son to bed, the players came over, we sit down to play, and I pick back up where we had left off. The party had been lodged at an inn while picking up side quests to keep themselves busy until a major plot event happened, and the session was going to be mostly devoted to item creation, shopping, and general antics. At one point, my wife's character and the party fighter were in a shop until the fighter was trying to negotiate purchasing a magic weapon. During the roleplay, the shopkeeper says that the markup on the weapon in question was not much, and that he definitely wasn't getting rich on it for the price he was charging. Then my wife pipes up. I bet he didn't really pay much for it, and he's just shoveling money into his other family. The way she said it was incredibly snarky and passive-aggressive. I tried to ignore it and move on. Throughout that one interaction there, she continued to make a few other jabs like that before the party fighter and the merchant came to an agreement. I went to the party sorcerer, who was working on trying to gather material components to be able to craft an item. Again, my wife chimes in, "Those aren't that expensive. None of it adds up to 30,000 gold." I told her to knock it off, and we continued to work at the price list and talk about availability. She would make another couple of quips about only being able to afford certain components when it was convenient for the shopkeeper and other such things. Finally, I lost my cool and made a jab. Yeah? Well, maybe the shopkeeper would have extra for the better components if his wife wasn't constantly spending it on stupid shit. Maybe the shopkeeper should actually be honest about what he's doing with it. How much more honest is overhead and upkeep? If she would actually draw an income of her own and help him out, maybe they wouldn't be struggling so much. At this point, the rest of the table became very quiet, fully realizing that this was something that we had been fighting about all day and apparently were not willing to let go. After about half an hour of that, the players excused themselves and went home, and my wife and I continued to fight about money for the rest of the night. That group basically fragmented into 3 when my wife and I finally got divorced. She got into a group with her cousin and her cousin's boyfriend. I got to keep my 2 friends, and I ultimately had to kick our roommate for something unrelated. Ooh, this is my nightmare scenario. Oh, I can just imagine being a player at this table and watching this all unfold. Yikes! Yeah, there's not really a lot to glean from this story in an actual lesson or a secret moral to take away from this. Like the title says, don't bring it to the table. I know some people might see a story like this as a case for not playing with your partners, but it really doesn't have to be this bad. And yeah, there is a larger than usual chance that this story didn't happen and it's just made up, it's just a content account that's just trying to farm a little bit of engagement, but putting that aside, let's be fully realistic about this story. This is not a case of D&D breaking up a marriage. No, this was a marriage that was breaking, and this D&D game was just one little crack in what seems to be a pretty explosive shattering of a household. And looking at OP's other posts in history, it seems like this was a long time coming, and no D&D game could have helped avoid this inevitable uncoupling, no matter how fun it was. So, pivoting to a little relationship advice instead. First, definitely don't air your dirty laundry in front of your friends. That is not what they signed up for, and it's really inappropriate to make them party to your personal beefs. Second, try and find ways to put your problems down and salvage the moments worth saving, especially for the sake of others, including the son that was mentioned in this story, because I don't want to overlook the fact that this sounds like a pretty traumatic long-term situation for that kid. But being perfectly honest, I try to live my life by one simple moral when it comes to my family and my loved ones. And that truth is, if a problem's worth arguing about, it's worth not arguing about. And if a problem's not worth arguing about, it's worth laughing about. But that's just my thoughts on this story. What do you folks think? Let me know in the comments, and I'll see you again real soon for our next lesson in Fable Academy.